Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Kim with Kim's Inspired Life. I started off in the kitchen, but then Raleigh came home with the kiddos after school, and Killian turned on the TV because he already did his homework. He gets done with his homework so quickly. So, and then Raleigh helped Zoe work on her homework in the other room while Sophie and I put together a casserole from this book. And by the way, welcome to the open collaboration, #BookTube Thursday, hosted by our two sweet friends, Patty at Life with Patty and Daphne at My Mountain Home and Kitchen. And on Thursdays, you can share any book you want. And I was looking for a recipe this morning, something I just felt like making something different, something I haven't made in a while. And this was bookmarked. And I said, whatever's bookmarked, I'm making. And it just so happened to be that it was a chili relleno casserole. And so before I share that recipe with you, and I'll be sharing video at the end or throughout, I'm not sure. This book is called Not by Bread Alone, Recipes and Reflections for Christian Cooks. And this is was published in 1998, I believe. Yes. And you can see that the contents starts with winter, ordinary time, gives you some recipes such as, let me put my glasses on. Savor the new year with blue cheese, mushroom, and caramelized onion pizza. Grant us good gifts, basic Creole fish stew, and then a few more recipes. Then it goes on to Lent and Easter of the living bread, how to make a starter. Oh my goodness, I might have to look at that. And then other recipes here. Then it goes into spring, ordinary time, the good earth with chili rellenos. That's what I made tonight on page 66. Summer, ordinary time starts with bite into loaf, roasted garlic and brie. Then it goes into autumn, ordinary time. Granola is the first recipe there. Advent, quiche with crab, God the cook. Christmas, scented memories, very low fat pumpkin pie. I've made probably about, I would say a handful, probably about 5 or so recipes. And here's the introduction. I'm going to read some of this introduction in this cookbook. Who among us are the blessed, who toss together delicious meals with lightning speed day after day, never losing our enthusiasm or creative touch? We want to do the best for our families, but often we run out of ideas, get tired of eating our own cooking, and have bad cooking habits. Alas, meal planning is an onerous task for most cooks. We struggle against boredom, lack of time, and ingredients, and the high cost of food. Not by bread alone, recipes and reflections for Christian cooks won't solve these problems with a few magic recipes and meditations, but it may help cooks think differently about the task of reminding us that meals are a gift to ourselves and those we love, and that preparing nourishment for the body can be a time for feeding the soul. This is neither a gourmet cookbook nor a scholarly analysis of Scripture. The recipes and meditations are simple and seasonal. The meals have been tested on children as well as adults. Most of the recipes are a little off the beaten track, calling for ingredients like eggplant, black beans, basil, ginger, and lots of garlic. And it's funny, when I reread that sentence, I thought, this was written in 95 or 98, I can't remember which one. And now here we are in 2025. I mean, eggplant, black beans, basil, ginger, and lots of garlic are the name of the game these days. So they are mainly vegetarian and low in fat, and unless otherwise noted, egg substitutes and non-fat dairy products may be used. Some ingredients are optional, and you're encouraged to use your culinary imagination. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. So there's more information here, talks a little bit about the Gospels. And the very last sentence here in the introduction says, Scripture is the yeast that forms our faith and shapes our lives. These meditations link Scripture to our recipes, meal planning, and food preparation. The result will be mindful meal preparation, cooking that becomes in itself a lifting of the mind and heart to God. So today like I said, wherever that, I had this little post-it note here, and I thought, whatever is there, that's what I'm making. And lo and behold, it was chili rellenos. I did have to go to the store this morning because the first thing you need are canned whole mild green chilies. Well, guys, I don't know where you live, but I could not find them. Not at Vons, not at Target, not at Aldi's, not at Grocery Outlet. And that's all. I wasn't looking anyplace else. And so what I did was I substituted just diced green chilies, and I just used 2 of the small cans. I'm not making this whole recipe. I basically wanted to half the recipe. And this recipe calls for a pound of chicken or turkey, ground chicken or ground turkey, and I had ground beef in the freezer, so I just used that. And then it calls for Monterey Jack or mozzarella cheese shredded, and so while I was at Vons, I bought some Monterey Jack cheese. It calls for 4 eggs. Because I'm halving the recipe, of course, I used 2, and it calls for 1.5 cups milk, and I used 3/4 of a cup milk. It calls for 1/4 cup of flour, and I just used half of a quarter, and then salt, and then it also calls for Tabasco sauce, which I did not use. And I added in cumin because I like cumin. And so, and then it doesn't say anything about salt or pepper or garlic, and I added those things as well. Or onion powder. I added all those. So it doesn't have too many spices in here, but I added in my own spices. And so basically you're supposed to brown the meat, grease the pan, line the bottom of the pan, and then just make those layers with the chili and the meat and the cheese. And then in a separate bowl, mix your eggs, your milk, flour, salt, and then pour that over everything and then put it in the oven. So it is in the oven right now. And when it comes out of the oven, when it's done, and when Rolly and I enjoy it for dinner, then I will include that in the video as well. So the scripture that goes along with this chili relleno recipe is called the good earth. But I have said to you, you shall inherit the earth, and I will give it to you to possess, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am the Lord your God. I have separated you from the peoples. Leviticus chapter 20. The expression milk and honey is the biblical metaphor for the good life. Plentiful cows, milks, and hives of healthy bees pollinating crops and making delicious honey. These are still signs of the good life, indicating fertile land, enough rain, and enough sun. No matter how advanced our technologies, city and towns still depend on productive farmland. Our hostesses are perfect examples of that. Daphne grows so many vegetables, as do her neighbors, and they share them with one another. Patty, Life with Patty, she lives on a farm, on a ranch, and they have lots of growth over there. And we were actually, the 3 of us were just texting last week about, farmers and what's happening with farmers and farming and what's drying up and what's plentiful and what's paying right now. So this is just a perfect scripture and meditation for this recipe. If our fields and cows stop producing, civilization would dry up. God's promised land is indeed the land itself, the rich earth, which provides us with our daily sustenance. I'm told that the secret of Mexican cooking is milk. Add a little to your refried beans. I don't normally do that. I'll have to try that maybe sometimes. Pour a glassful to cut the fire of a jalapeno, and be grateful for the cows and bees in our land of milk and honey. So that is the book I'm sharing today, Not by Bread Alone. I haven't looked for this book, obviously, in a while, but possibly, I'm thinking you could probably find it at a used bookstore, at Amazon, possibly. And in my collection of cookbooks, I probably have a handful, maybe, of Christian cookbooks, and so I love that, scripture and cooking, right, to nourish our souls and our body. Definitely follow the hashtag to go visit our hostesses and also see what other books that people are sharing on this Thursday. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Wait, can I see? What's that to say? What? Did you press